thank you, everyone, for being here. If you aren't familiar, my name is Jordan Smith. I own S Plus Management. I manage 6 artists, and it's a really pleasure to have everyone here, whether you're viewing or especially on the panel. This is the second Chat for Change event, so it's really an honor to be able to put these on, and Andrew, like I said, I know you personally. Everyone else is the first time I've met you. So thanks so much for being a part of this. It's really an honor to have you guys involved. And all of this would not be possible without the amazing Kelly, who is working closely with me. She got everyone together, put everyone in the same room, and now here we are. It's been months of planning, and I'm really excited to get going. So, I'll be here, just sit back. I really encourage everyone to have an open conversation. And yeah, I'll literally pass the torch to Kelly and let everyone get started. But thank you everyone for being here.
Okay, awesome. So hi everyone, my name is Kelly Fan. I'm currently a senior at Indiana University and just studying English literature and communications. Right now I'm doing an internship with S Plus, and it's just been a super cool experience because I've been able to get in touch with a lot more people in like music management and the music industry. So today we're just doing Chat for Change, and we mostly wanted to do this just so we could kick off AAPI Heritage Month, which is coming up next month, and also just be able to talk about the media industry from an Asian American standpoint and really kind of, I guess, be able to think about identity more whenever we're talking about occupations and everything. That's definitely something I've been going through. So I guess we'll just get started. I'm just going to go around to each person and just let them talk about their work. So first, I want to start off with Lisa Gold. She's the director for the Asian American Arts Alliance. And so could you tell us about some of your work and what you do?
Sure. Thanks so much, Kelly. It's a pleasure to be here. Appreciate the opportunity to talk a little bit about A4. We are 37, excuse me, we're a 37-year-old nonprofit that exists to ensure greater representation of Asian American artists. And we work with arts organizations and artists of all different disciplines. And we're really about greater representation, greater opportunities, and ensuring equity. And we do work that kind of supports artists through fellowships, through professional development training, and through networking. And we call it access to cultural gatekeepers. So those are like the producers, the editors, the directors, casting agents. So we try to ensure that artists have access to the people that make the decisions as to what art gets shown in galleries or museums or gets published. And we try to ensure that that there are more Asian Americans in all of the creative industries, because if you don't have those people that recognize the importance of those stories, then they're not going to get seen and they're not going to get told. So we really believe that there needs to be more Asian Americans in film, yay, Chloe, and in music and in dance, theater, all of it. So that's kind of what we do.
Awesome, thank you so much. Yeah, I just heard about Nomadland. That was so cool. Yeah, I know you guys do table dish programs and different career programs. I was wondering if you could tell me about what were some of your favorite programs that you've done, or if you have anything coming up.
Yeah, well, the Table Dish is a career roundtable, and we focus on different industries, and we have one on Wednesday night. And this one is specifically focused on music. And it's a great opportunity to, normally we do them in person, but COVID, so we're doing it online. But if you sign up, you get a chance to meet with a kind of a leader in the, in the music industry, whether it's, a producer or the Grace, who's the head of artist relations at YouTube or a management company or music publishing, and you have 30 minutes to sit with them and have a conversation and then move around and talk to somebody else. And so we've done this with the visual arts, and we've done it with theater. And it's just like a great opportunity to have a personal conversation with somebody and ask questions that you might not ordinarily get. And, mentorship is a really important thing, especially I believe like in the arts. It's not like, when you're a doctor, like there's a plan, like how to get from A to B, or, as a lawyer, you do these certain things. Like in the creative field, there's no roadmap, right? So a lot of it is about relationships. And so we try to make those connections so that people, they feel comfortable like asking people for information or help or whatever. So we're just, like I said, we're trying to get more Asian Americans into those creative fields so that we can, bring us up along the way. Yeah, so we've got tons of programs that are coming up for APA Heritage Month. We just started a virtual residency program. So those artists, and it's an amazing mix. It's all interdisciplinary, and they're going to have a Zoom event on May 5th. And so it's like we have a musician. He was the first Asian American Blue Man from Blue Man Group. We have a magician. We have like poets and dancers, and they're working together in this event. We have an exhibition opening in Chelsea Market in the West Side, Manhattan, and that's on the 6th. We're doing an event for APA Heritage Month called Asian Americans in Jeopardy, and it's an all Asian American game show. All the contestants, all the answers, everything is all Asian American. So we've got that coming up. We've got a conversation around mental health and an art therapy. For May is also Mental Health Awareness Month. So we've got that coming up on the 27th. And we've got a conversation with a photographer at a photography museum with Pixie Lau on the 26th. So we've got a ton of stuff coming up.
Those sound so awesome and so unique. It's so cool. Thank you so much. So next up, I just want to talk to Michael. Michael is part of the OCA, which is Asian American Advocates, kind of a national organization and nonprofit that helps with a lot of Asian American social political issues. So could you just tell us about some of your work and some things that you've been up to?
Sure, thanks, Kelly. Really happy to be here. Yeah, so I work with OCA, Asian Pacific American Advocates. We're a national nonprofit based in DC, and we have over 33 chapters and affiliates around the country. And so my role is I'm the Senior Policy and Advocacy Associate. So I handle a policy portfolio that includes 5 main issue areas. So it's education, racial equity and inclusion, civic engagement, immigration, and technology and telecoms. So it's a lot, but you can imagine with everything that's going on around anti-Asian violence, I've been doing a lot of work around that during the last few months. So at the national level, we have been organizing, town halls, both internal for our chapters, but also external public town halls to kind of discuss, media talking points, talk about the trainings that we provide. Some of the trainings we do that we put on are bystander intervention trainings, which is really important. We're seeing in the media that, videos of all these incidences that happen, and some videos where there are bystanders, witnessing what's happening and not doing anything about it, right? And so I think bystander intervention trainings are really, really important. And it's actually, I think, one of the most fun trainings that I put on. We do trainings on rapid response where we talk about like the importance of a community response, right? A lot of times like people think about law enforcement as the first most important response, which they are, but a community response when it comes to hate crimes is just as important, right? So we provide resources and trainings for our chapters on that. During these town halls, we have speakers come in and talk about, the importance of solidarity between the Black and Brown communities. We talk about mental health impact and strategies for self-care. We have a fireside chat coming up this Thursday. Some of our chapters that are really doing incredible work in their local communities to address anti-Asian hate. It's going to be an intimate conversation where, they talk about what they're doing, but also strategize about, how to organize effectively, right? And coming away with like tangible solutions about how to move forward. We also share a bunch of resources that are available. But yeah, that's some of the stuff that I've been most busy with in the last few months.
consultant at Universal Music Group, and I work very closely with the Walt Disney Records and Hollywood Records labels. Outside of that, in the last year, I've been managing artists for about 5 years now, but in the last year, I've launched my own music company, Romantic Music Group, and it includes components of artist management. I recently started offering PR and Spotify playlist pitching services. And I have a few other ventures, that I'm working on, romantic playlists, romantic media. But it's been a pleasure to be able to start my own thing, do my own thing, and be my own boss. It's very empowering. But growing up, I think my parents were very, it's kind of the thing that you typically hear. Oh, you should be a doctor, you should be a lawyer, and these things that tend to have high yield in income and whatnot. And I completely understand, right? I mean, they've sacrificed their lives to come here so that their kids and their future generations can have all the opportunities that quite frankly they didn't. And I think I kind of tried that route. I tried pre-med and things like that, and I just wasn't passionate about it. I think growing up, I've always been very into music. I've had my days of posting covers on YouTube and things like that, and they're terrible. But I think in college, I kind of realized that music was my calling. I always understood that you could be a recording artist, you could be a musician, but I've never thought about it in the context of working from the business standpoint. And once that kind of clicked, I just ran at it. I was fortunate to have some internships while I was at UCLA, and I think that my time in college had really empowered me to do what I want to do. And it's something I never considered or even thought was possible, because I feel like frankly, I feel like in the music industry, you don't really see many, first and foremost, Asian or Asian American musicians, artists, bands, and I think we're starting to see that change very gradually. But even more so, I mean, I think having, in the last 5-6 years, having, met a lot of music industry professionals, artist managers specifically, there are very few Asian artist managers, and that's, I don't know if that's something I'm looking to change, but more so, I would love for anyone that's challenged by what they want to do to really take the time to explore what that could possibly be. I spent a lot of time in college just trying different majors, trying different things, and I didn't settle. I didn't settle for what my parents kind of wanted me to do, and I think one day I will make them proud with my career path. But I think it's interesting, because back home which is Oakland, so shout out to Bay Area. People don't really think to go into creative industries, don't really think to go into entertainment, because it seems so unattainable and it feels very Hollywood. And luckily, I think we're in an era where technology has given us a lot of power to be able to enter that space. So I'm very fortunate to be in the position that I am.
Thank you so much. I really, really resonated with that because my freshman year of college, I was pre-med and I was a bio major. And now I'm just so interested in maybe let's make a panel with Asian American people in the arts. I think that's so cool. And definitely being able to reach out to people who kind of have more experience than me right now is really helpful. So just being in the industry as doing the work is part of representation. And I think that that's really cool. And then right after, I wanted to just chat with CLARA. And one of my questions from beforehand was just how you feel like your identity has been important to you. And I know that you've kind of worked with a lot of Asian American communities that have been more popularized in maybe social media now and everything. So I was wondering, maybe talk about how you feel like your identity was important, or in what ways you think working with communities of Asian Americans was kind of a different experience.
Yeah. Okay, so I am a music artist. I'm also a composer, producer, actor, and currently graduate student. So it's been really fun to just empower myself to do whatever I want in this country. And identity is such a big topic.
Yeah, that's true.
It is an ongoing process for myself And I am closer than ever, and I'm very happy to have woken from that, or just like detangled from all of the identity mess. It's so hard because, you know, I'm in grad school for psychology, so mental health is definitely a huge theme in my life as well. And I think that our community needs it. I think if I was president, I would make everybody take a free flight to a different continent. And then I would also hook them up with 10 free therapy sessions. But
that would be amazing.
I just think
it would totally back you up on that. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it would do a lot collectively for the earth. But anyway, I think that we are Asians, and also like the Latinx community, also just many other races, are part of a collectivistic culture where the group's needs come before the individual, right? And we're forced to, as Asian Americans, forced to digest that with the individualistic culture of America, which is like me, 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 me. So, you know, it's things like my first paycheck when I landed a song on a commercial, my parents just expected that to go to them. And I'm like, excuse me, you know? So it's things like that. And even things like the immigrant struggle is so real, and they want to survive, and so they put all their dreams and like their survival needs on you maybe. And that's not how you see the world, having been born here. So I had to like sneak attack my music career while going to undergrad. So I like got the degree, but I was secretly building my YouTube and touring, and, you know, so I had to like juggle both. You do a lot. And so identity's been hard. And then you get into the field of music, and you're kind of like a tadpole in a stream, like a lazy river. Like there's a current, and so you're like thrown into this thing, and then you have all these not to keep throwing terms around, but internalized racism, where you think that the Euro standard is the standard for you, for the way you look, for the way you sound. People say things like, you don't sing like an Asian. I'm like, what do you mean? You know, it's just a lot. It's a lot. And I had to just stop and like deconstruct everything. And now my identity is feeling more secured than ever. And I'm using all of my pain instead of like crumbling from it. And I'm working on a new album now where it's completely, I mean, I've always been involved, but it's completely produced and created by myself. And it's like just coming from here to your ears, you know? And
that's so cool.
Yeah, and it took a lot to get there. You know, I had to learn, don't get me started on women in entertainment. Like I had to learn how to produce and like learn how to
intersectionality. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. And so Nina Simone said something that really stuck with me, where she said an artist's duty is to reflect the times. And so, yeah, I sing about love very well. I would like to sing about something more substantial, something bigger than myself now, and to do it for the community, because I think we need it. And there's also been like so much competition I felt early on, but now it's kind of morphed into support and like, let me uplift you, brother, sister, like, let me spread you out and like cross-pollinate. So that was a lot more than what you asked for, but identity is a big bag. That's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. And especially with music, I've heard this in writing too, that just like it shouldn't feel necessary that Asian Americans have to make one type of music or one type of song. Like the goal of representation is that they can make anything they want, and then you'll still accept it. And then next up, Alex. Alex, could you just tell us about your work in poetry or in all of the work that you're doing?
Absolutely good. Thank you so much, Kelly. Yeah, my name is Alex Liu. I'm a poet, a spoken word poet, performer, and filmmaker. And so a lot of my content revolves around culture, family, heritage. A lot of it is based on my own personal life and my own personal interactions with my family. And also a huge emphasis on mental health and spreading awareness on the various different mental health topics that are near and dear to my heart. And I am also a creative associate for GGE agency. It's a newer artist agency that we just started up this past year. Actually wanted to be a rapper in high school, but I could never spit on beat. Like for the love of God, I could not spit on beat. Talent show, I would just like mess up and all that. And so eventually one day in English class, our teacher just didn't feel like teaching, played HBO Def Poetry Jam, which was a poetry TV series in the early 2000s. And I fell in love with the art form of just people being able to tell their stories authentically, and perform it in a way where the audience can feel their spirit and their soul in it. So me being an Asian artist within this art form is well, it's surprising. There's not many of us in there. If you think about how hard it is for Asian men to traditionally get in touch with our emotions, let alone write and create a piece of art and tell it to the world. At the same time, me being one of the few, I felt that that was, in a way, a challenge that I wanted to take on for myself, as well as a feeling of like, I don't know if any other artists relate, but like, oh, I'm one of the few artists within this field, and I feel it's my responsibility to, pursue it to the best of my abilities and best represent myself and my family and my people. And I've encountered a lot of ups and downs in my career. Uh, in that I stood out for sure in any competitions or rooms, just being the one Asian guy. And my MO is that I like to wear clothes, Chinese clothes of my people, anytime I perform or anytime I'm around in public. But I meant that to be the case, that I wanted to stick out as a sore thumb, knowing that them hearing my poetry, or any audience member hearing my poetry, might be one of the few times that they encounter Asian American spoken word. And so I took it upon myself to be sure that I'm honoring myself, honoring my family, and honoring the stories I want to tell people. And I just stick to that as my core rock for continuing to push on within this art form and just create.
Yeah, amazing. I definitely saw that on your site you had defined yourself as a teaching artist. I'm wondering, like, is that like, how do you, what does that mean for you and the way that you like perform?
Right. So beyond just being a performer, I also, or at least I used to, more so, I'm wearing a couple different hats these days. I haven't taught many workshops lately, but no, I would teach poetry workshops as well as performance art classes. And I used to work for speech and not a speech and debate, a public speaking company, tutoring other Asian American kids, helping from the ages of like, I believe it was 11 to 18 that I had taught, and just helping Asian kids find their voice, and also be an example of like, look, I did the work to find my own, and you can absolutely too. So being a teaching artist means really trying my best to be like a big brother to anyone who looks to learn or pursue a genre in public speaking or performing arts.
Awesome. And then Lowhi, could you tell us a little bit about your music and how you feel like your identity is important to you and the work and music that you're making?
Yeah, so hi, my name is Lowhi. It's the artist name that I go by. I'm a recording artist, a alt R&B lo-fi artist, and I was born in the Bay Area. And when I was 6, my family's my family's work life took me to Beijing. So I actually grew up mostly in Beijing. So the technical term for it is third culture kid, but it's a little weird since I'm a Chinese kid who's American, but went to live most of my life in Beijing and went to an international school that went under a mostly Western education. And I remember living in China at the time and feeling like, yeah, I don't feel as Chinese as all the Chinese people around me. Just the way I dressed, the way I talked, it's pretty clear to my family and just anyone on the street. Like, yeah, it's one of those. He's one of those ABC kids. That's what they call this. And yeah, just feeling like when I came back to America that this would be home. I've always been American. I'm about to come back to America and everything's going to be good and everyone's just happy with each other because it's America and it's a melting pot. Come back and it's not always the case. It's not always the case that everything's harmonious. So even for a while, I didn't really embrace the term Asian American because I felt like I was cheating by calling myself Asian American, since even though I held a US passport, I technically grew up abroad. But I've always been endlessly grateful to the Asian American community, especially in LA, but also just across the States. They've just embraced me so wholeheartedly. I remember confessing to a friend at a certain point, a friend who grew up in New York, and I was like, dude, I don't know if I'm Asian American. Like, it was a vulnerable moment of like asking him, like, can I claim that? Is it wrong for me to call myself Asian American? And to hear, of course you're Asian American, you're part of our diaspora, you're part of this, you're part of this movement, you're part of this community. So that was a huge part of my college experience, and also starting at that time to write about Asian American experiences, what it means to grow up bicultural, writing about the Chinese massacre of 1872, as I was like learning things about what it means to be Asian American, the history of Asian Americans in the States. And just going deeper and deeper with myself, like, what does it mean for me culturally? What does it mean for me as a third culture kid who's like an in-between of an in-between? And for that becoming something I was super self-conscious about, even feeling like sometimes I didn't even go well with other Asian Americans, to now just having it really settle and be like, my experience is valid. It's definitely a part of the larger Asian diaspora, and that's something to really celebrate and lean into as I create. My my label that I talk to all the time, they push me on that, like, hey, the fact that you're Chinese, the fact that you can sing and rap in both English and Mandarin, use that, own that, own that. That's unique about you and that's different about you. So yeah, for anyone out there thinking about being an artist, it's just like, wow, there's so much unique about every single one of us. There's so much to tap into, and that's the beautiful part of artistry to me.
Yeah, I totally agree. I definitely think struggling between two identities, it's always so hard, but it's so powerful to know that we can like tap into those multiple sides of us. I just want to pause really fast, and because we had to start in the middle before, I want to go back to the nonprofits just so our audience can get to know them. So I was just hoping, Lisa, if you're willing, just come in, talk a little bit about Asian American Arts Alliance and what they do, and just why we should care.
Sure, thanks so much. So A4, we're based in Brooklyn, New York, but we work with artists all over the country. And we're a 37-year-old nonprofit organization that is dedicated to ensuring greater representation and equity and opportunities for Asian American artists and cultural producers. And we work with artists across all disciplines. So everybody from music, dance, spoken word, theater. And we just try to connect people. We try to give people resources, whether that is like fellowships and training, or if it's professional development, free workshops on how to, everything from how to do your taxes to, how to, we do lots of different types of workshops. And we also do a lot of conversations just around the idea of Asian American identity in the arts, and what does that mean, and all of this intersectionality. Like all of us, like you said, we embrace multitude. So, I'm an environmentalist, and there are artists that make work about that, but they're also Asian American, and their identity, impacts their work. And so we create spaces for artists to have those kind of discussions about issues that are, of importance. So it's kind of a unique place that we occupy. In fact, we're the only organization in the country that's dedicated to Asian American artists across all disciplines. We're the only one.
Wow. That definitely, yeah. Like when I looked up Asian American, just kind of arts nonprofits, you're the first to come up, but I did not know you're the only. That's so crazy. Thank you so much for all the work you do. It's so awesome. And then just Michael, could you tell us a little bit about OCA and the work you do with OCA?
Sure, yeah. So OCA is a national, oh, can you hear me? Okay. National nonprofit based in Washington, D.C., and we have over 33 chapters and affiliates across the country. We're dedicated to advancing the social, political, economic well-being of the AAPI community. So I am the Senior Policy and Advocacy Associate. So I handle a portfolio, a policy portfolio that covers education, racial equity and inclusion, civic engagement, immigration, and technology and telecoms. And I was saying earlier that recently been really busy in the area of racial equity inclusion around the rise in anti-Asian violence. So we've been doing a lot of work around that. So.
Awesome. Wait, go into some of the work. I remember you talked about the bystander intervention. I thought that was so cool. Yeah, what is that?
Yeah, so we provide trainings to our chapters. And so one of the trainings that we facilitate is called bystander intervention trainings. And basically, we're seeing videos of incidences where, there are bystanders witnessing the incident, but not really stepping in or doing anything to help, right? And so these trainings basically, it's an hour-long free sort of interactive training. We basically empower people to be able to have the courage, right, to step in. And we talk a lot about like our own privilege and biases and power, all these important concepts, and how to use this to step in and help others that are facing discrimination. So yeah, and so we train our chapters so that they can go into their communities and facilitate these workshops. Because I think this is one of, when we're talking about anti-Asian hate or just discrimination in general, I think this is a really effective or direct way to actually step in and make a difference, right? So that's one of the many trainings that we put on.
Yeah. So right now, Jordan just put in some of the links, both to OCA and to A4. And these are just ways that you can donate or ways that you can learn more about their organization. So feel free to click them and learn more. Thank you so much to Lisa and Michael for being here and just sharing some time with us. I was wondering, just because of talking about like identity as a very, like academic and just like social issue, with Asian American Arts Alliance, Lisa, could you tell us a little bit about maybe things that you've learned from panels that are about identity or oriented around them, or maybe how that has been like something that Asian American artists might struggle with more, you think?
I think people are, especially in the arts, it's been challenging, like, just like how you had said, Lowhi. I mean, like, or you, Andrew, too. Like your parents, they expect you to go into finance or medicine or something like that, and artists, they're born to create. They need to do this, and they may not find the support in their family. And so, like, having that dual identity, like that, the filial piety, or like you said, the collectivism, Clara, that you had mentioned, like those things are real and those are part of your identity. And to reconcile those two, like the need to be independent, creative, to forge your own path, sometimes that's hard. And that's why, that's why we exist, is to create a safe space, a place for artists to come together, to support each other, to give that thing. So I think it's broad. It's very broad, and people come at it from very different ways, and some people like proudly embrace it. Other people, I'm Hapa. I'm half Korean and half white. And so, for me, even like this idea, like, am I Asian enough? That's a real thing. And I think we all think about that, like, am I enough? And I feel like that's a pretty common thing for Asian Americans in the arts, which is something that we all need to get over. And so I think having discussions like this, where we see people that look like us doing the things that we, creating and being out there. It's so important. So yes, thank you for doing this panel, and thank you for, for all of you artists for out there, making your work. And the struggle, man, it's real, right? But you got to do it because you just have to, because it's in you. So I just really appreciate that. I don't think that was a good answer to what you asked, but
Oh, no, it's fine. And also, I was just going to ask while I had you on the line right now, just to I was wondering what events you had coming up for AAPI Heritage Month. This panel is coming up right before AAPI Heritage Month is during the May. And I was just curious, what is A4 doing? And just yeah, you just spoken about it a little bit before, but it was so cool. And I just want the audience to hear about it too, so they can join in. Are they open to anyone, or do you have to?
All of our events, you can go onto our website, aaartsalliance.org, and you can, almost everything is available via Zoom. Although we do have an in-person exhibition that we're opening up at Chelsea Market, and that is called Futures Ever Arriving. It's about Asian American futurism. So that opens on May 6th. And then we have our artist residency program. We have a virtual residency program, and they've come together to create a website, and you can meet the artists and see the work that they've been creating during this virtual residency, and that's going to happen on the 5th. And it's such a great mix of artists, dancers, poets, activists. It's just a really incredible group of people. We have an event on the 13th called Asian Americans in Jeopardy, and it's a game show where all of the contestants and all of the answers are about Asian Americans. We have a town hall event that we do. We've been doing this town hall event for 10 years. It happens every other month, and we invite people. It's kind of like a Pechakucha. You get 1 minute to give a pitch about a project, and it's usually around a specific theme. Last month was about performing arts and advocacy. So performing artists that were doing amazing advocacy work to save the industry. And then so we have 2 featured presenters, but anybody can participate, and you meet the most incredible people, and people have forged partnerships out of it or gotten great gigs. And it's just so interesting to see the breadth of Asian American creatives. So it's a really fun event to check out. It's only an hour. You can network afterwards and meet some people, but that's a lot of fun, and that's going to happen on the 18th. So we have a ton of stuff, just too many events in May.
No, that's wonderful. It's always great to be able to meet other people, and it's so cool. I remember during the last panel on Black History Month, and they were talking about how everyone's really struggling with so many things in life right now, but really emphasizing Black joy or elevating Black artists. So I was wondering, definitely Asian joy, Asian artists, we were able to learn so much from that panel about it. And I was just wondering if you guys could talk a little bit about how you kind of are celebrating Asian joy, or in what ways that you guys might be celebrating Asian American History Month in maybe your own work or in your own programs. So I just want to open that to anyone that might have anything in mind for that, but if not, no worries.
Oh, this is my ballpark.
Okay,
this
cool.
is exactly what I want to talk about. So trigger warning, I'm going to bring up the Atlanta shootings and sort of the community response to that, and the conversations I had with friends. With something as tragic as that, and losing 6 Asian women who look and live lives similar to my grandmother, and having conversations with a ton of other friends about it, a lot of them were asking me if they were allowed to be upset or angry. They're asking me if it's I don't know if I should be, or if I can, compared to Black Lives Matter and other minorities. And so my role during that time was just giving my friends and colleagues permission to feel, even if it doesn't feel true or right. Just feel whatever it is and embrace it. And whatever anger you have, whatever joy you have, whatever you're grateful for, you are allowed to feel. And I think so much of us, I can speak from my experience. I was not allowed to feel being an Asian man. Feelings were uh, um, something that was shrugged off or like unnecessary for like the bigger goal of success or what you need to do. But it's important for um, us to be able to just be human, feel and be human. And so a lot of what I just do is I practice it for myself. Like times that I've just been hard on myself, I give myself self affirmations. Times where I'm hard on myself, I sit and talk to myself. Hey, bro, you ain't gonna be so hard on yourself, man. Like I crack jokes with myself. I compliment myself. And in this work and practice of just loving myself in the mirror, I've been able to love other Asian folks like so succinctly, with them, be present with them, and love up on them, and find new ways to show love and spread joy. What I love about like Black folks in their community, that what it's gotten popular on like internet culture and everything, to call each other kings and queens, right? And also within the queer community, that's big too. And so I've just been trying something else, something different, just like going up to like Asian women, be like, you look good today, Empress, or like, Lowhi, what up, Emperor? Trying to figure out, just trying something new, right? Because that's what I feel is like, um right, like Asian joy and happiness, like that almost feels foreign to us at times. So just try something out that exudes the most joy for you. um Hone in on that, and represent that, and just be like, whoever vibes with that, come through, come with. These are all new territory that we're jumping into as artists, as people, as humans, just trying to get through with the climate of the world. And so being unapologetically joyful and finding what that means for yourself can be such an inspiration for other folks down the line. So that's been my journey with it, my take with it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And then did anyone else on the panel have any thoughts on that? If not, I think I might just, oh yes, thank you so much. Lowhi?
Oh yeah. Yeah, I can speak into that. Yeah, just what I'm hearing everyone say, that there's just a lot of collective trauma in our community right now, and to really bring that into the arts space as well. Yeah, Lisa, you talked about this perpetual feeling of not feeling enough, whether it be on a cultural level, on just a success level, then for men perhaps on a masculine level. I just want to note how dangerous that is as an artist, because this industry can be predatory at times, where people are reaching out and they don't have your best interest in mind. So really, as an artist, and even as humans, I believe it's our individual responsibility to heal through that, such that when we are in a place where we're getting a lot of different opportunities and asks, that we're able to personally sift through from like a grounded foundation of, I love myself, I'm worth it, I want the best of myself for myself, versus fuck, I'm kind of numbed out, I'm not in a good place, I'm people pleasing, I don't want to disappoint people. Yeah, I don't want to get into specific stories, but just heard many stories from specifically Asian American artists that were put in a position that they really didn't want to be, because they weren't able to come from a place of, I'm worth it, I love myself, so I don't want any of that. I don't want to be a part of that. So I think it's very important for artists and humans in general, but I'll speak specifically about artists, to be able to do the work to have that self-worth be grounded, so that you're able to make these really key distinctions for yourself in your career that will serve you and won't mess you up in the long term. So yeah, so I'm hearing what Alex is saying about really reaching for that joy, and I think what it takes is to go really deep in first to do that undigging, to do that excavation. And I think for artists to do that work, yeah, just the benefits of that, I can't understate. So that's my piece of it.
Mm. Thank you so much. Yeah. So I think it's like 9:03 right now. I know we had some technical difficulties in the beginning, so thank you so much for everyone for being flexible for that. I'm just going to just allow anyone to take the floor to say any final words and everything. If not, then I'll just close out. I guess just like Michael and Lisa wave a little. Just wanted to say one more time that they were like our nonprofits that we just put some information in down here and into the chat. And we just love for you to learn more about them and to be able to donate into some of the links here. So thank you so much to all the panelists that could come and all the audience members that could make it. Although we couldn't go too deep into questions, I was really, really grateful that we were able to get to know each other a little more and just learn more about like what working in the music industry as an Asian American is like. So thank you so, so much to everyone who came. And then thank you so much to Jordan, who was helping moderate everything behind the scenes. Jordan, do you have any final words that you'd like to say?
Yeah, of course. I mean, first and foremost, thank you everyone, just to echo Kelly, for being here that was on the panel. It was really, truly amazing to hear your stories and hear your thoughts. And, I hope we can do it again soon. Thank you everyone that joined to listen. And, most importantly, thank you, Kelly, for really putting this together. It wouldn't be possible without you. So, I really am thankful. I hope to keep in touch with each and every one of you. You're all incredible people. And it's an honor to give such amazing people a platform to speak. This is something, that I feel like for myself, like with the last panel we did and this one, it's just like I want to give people a place to share their voices, and that's it. At the end of the day, just a huge million thank yous, for real. So.
Thank you so much. Okay, everyone, have a great night.